new Chief Legislative Analyst for the City of Los Angeles.
Hi, Alyssa Suarez is the Chief Legislative Analyst.
Everyone, Riley O'Brien is analyst with the WSCCOG.
Anyone else? Anyone?
Cindy Owens, Municipal Affairs Program Manager for the City of Beverly Hills.
Online? Riley, Shelley, and Chelsea, in that order.
Riley's here.
Yeah.
Chelsea, do you want to come off mute? I mean, Kelly? Oh, I have the volume turned down on that. Let me turn that up. Okay. Yeah, right.
Oh, there, oh, yeah, sorry, yeah.
Oh. So if it's blocking, this. Let's keep going.
Yeah, let's keep going. We have recognized a few people that's online. It's Kathleen Asensio, Lauren Wren, Nicole Linier, and Dongyan Lin. And excuse if I butcher your name. I think that's what we have. Someone Twong and Chelsea Richard. They are online, and Shelley Wolfberg. So you're recognized. Thank you all. Thank you, Beverly Hills, for hosting us here today. We know you had a little tough weekend in your area, and we were watching really carefully, and hopefully everything is going to come out fine after a few days for you guys. So thank you for hosting us here. And then I also would like to take this moment to thank Dr. Julian Gold, who is, this is his last meeting. He is turned out, and so we will not see him the next time. So he's turned out from his city council position at Beverly Hills. So we really appreciate all your insightful commentary and thoughts and suggestions over the years to this body. We were thinking that after the meeting, if all the elected officials and others want to stay, we're going to take a group photo with you.
I love that.
To memorize this. Do you want to add something on your experience that you have, you know?
Wow. How much time do
You have 48 seconds.
No, I think that I just want to thank all of you and all of the folks who preceded you that I served with over the course of this long period. I think that Bob has worked, he's really worked very well and has created a collegial environment in which neighbors can talk to each other and, you know, construct things together, and at the same time, maybe not always agree, but come to consensus about it anymore. And I've appreciated that. I appreciated everyone's deliberations and everybody's ability and willingness to actually do that. I think is a model for how government should work. This works really well. So for me, it's been a great experience. I hope your time likewise. And thank you for recognizing the President. And I wish you well going forward. I may be wandering by every once in a while. But seriously, that.
Well, anyone else who would like to say a few words regarding Dr. Gold?
Yes.
Yeah, Sefia.
Thank you, Dr. Gold. It's been incredible getting to know you. Incredible elected official and a remarkable being. And I wish you the best in your next journey of adventure, and just giving you honor and respect from the city.
Thank you. Very good.
Dr. Gold, thank you very much. Just wanted to appreciate all your service and thank you for being such a great host. Always creating a welcoming environment. It's always made me feel good coming to these meetings, knowing that you're going to be here, and just the culture that you created, you know, with your leadership and your guidance. So
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you are welcome to show yourself here once in a while. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Because especially, exactly, I could say, especially when you provide lunch, it's going to be great. So that moves us over to item number 3, which is our action item today. That's the minutes. Anyone has any additions, comments on the minutes? Otherwise, I can entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
We have a motion, second, anyone?
Second.
The motion from Beverly Hills, second from West Hollywood. For discussion. Okay, let's vote. Everyone in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Staying. Motion carried. Thank you. That moves us on to item number 4, which is the executive director report. So that's going to be Cecilia.
Thank you, Gary Erickson. So, also, I just want to say, well, it was really a pleasure working with you. And, thank you for your service. You know, it's a thankless task being public services, but
You guys have made it easy. Great job for the job. Thank you.
right. Well, so we have 2 items on our executive director's report. One is about annual membership dues, and the second was about statement of economic interest. So it's just really sunshine and all the tops for this report. So the first is under the rules of our COG, we need to provide 60 days notice if we want to propose that dues be increased. So last June, you may recall, we presented an idea about increasing annual dues and maybe doing it later adoption in early 2024. So now we've come to that date. As you'll see in the staff report, we propose that the board adjust the annual dues to align with the escalating operational costs and inflation. In short, we have not had our dues increase as COG until 2016. Since that time, the consumer price index has increased by 7%. We put a table on page 10 that gives you a snapshot of the historical dues, and it's up on the screen as well. So I can't read it. So we have not, current dues are $23,000 per member. We're proposing that the COG increase by 15%, which would take you all to $3,450 addition for each member city. As you may recall, everybody pays the same amount. It's equal for all the members. So the 4 cities plus the city of Los Angeles plus the county of Los Angeles. And this would enable us as your executive director to really recapture some of our costs. We have not had an increase, and yet our staff has had pay increases. The cost of getting copies, the cost of doing the lunch, all have increased pretty dramatically since 2016. We've also increased the level of work that we do for you. I think it's shown in some of the work we've done both on transportation and housing and homelessness. It's been a very productive environment, but it is difficult for us to continue to provide this level of service without an increase. So we would like to also make sure we're maintaining a healthy operating reserve. Oftentimes we'll get grants from folks like SCAG and others where we have to advance the funds and then we get reimbursed. So that operating reserve is very important for us to be able to pay some of our consultants who've been working, so they don't have to wait 3, 6, 7 months to get reimbursement from some of the granting agencies. So in essence, that is the basis for our proposal. We also know that this COG has been interested in some more ambitious goals, like exploring that regional behavioral health facility feasibility center. We're going to talk more about that in the agenda later on. So we'd like to be able to have the capacity to help drive that forward as your Westside COG executive director. So we also propose that the COG and the treasurer look at developing a policy to establish when and how dues should be evaluated for future adjustments. It's pretty ad hoc right now, and there might want to add some regularity to it. So there's no action required. We just wanted to put it on the agenda to enable you all to have notice, give us some direction on your views on that. And then we will be bringing this back to you at our next meeting. And with that, I turn it over to the chair. So take a second.
Any thoughts, Dr. Bourne?
It might be worthwhile to present this in the form of a memorandum so that we can put it in front of our council.
Oh, okay.
Ultimately, the appropriation's got to be theirs. And so I think we should outline pretty much your report here, but what you're asking for a line.
Anyone else has-
yeah.
Yeah, Stephanie.
I was just gonna say, personally, 15% increase seems fair given the annual rise in costs for what's been presented, so thank you. And that's it. I mean. Okay. That's all.
Okay, thank you. I have a question. Brad, would it make sense looking forward to have consideration of a CPI increase built in or to, so that it, you know, we're not playing catch up every few years? Just like to explore that as a possibility.
Any thoughts on that immediately or kind of?
I don't know of any other, you know of any other aggregate city that does it? I don't. Contract cities doesn't, ICA doesn't, I don't think the league does. I don't think they've built.
No.
I think it would be I don't know about other COG, but amongst other city-based organizations, I don't know of any that do that.
We can certainly survey the other COGs in LA County to see what they do. I don't think, frankly, they do CPI, regular CPI, but they do raise their rates periodically, we know, because they always go around and do a survey of everybody else.
And it kind of creates a little bit level of difficulty in that we'd have to know that in advance of our budgeting. So that we'd have to apply that CPI prior to any presentation to the council for the next budget year. Probably all in the same budget year, but nonetheless, I do think that it makes the budgeting process just a little more complicated.
Should we consider to put in that, you know, this item should be brought up automatically every second year or something to look back and see, or every year, or we just leave it to the. Any thoughts on that? Because I think that's really what you're asking. I think we should put some regularity into.
Right.
Any thoughts on if we should do that?
I think it's good to structure sort of the increase, so that we don't end up, you know, it'll be a lot more painful if we wait 4 years, you know, to do it. So it's probably less painful if we do it on an annual basis, like a quick evaluation. And I know that there's the scope of services changes a little bit depending on the workload, right? We might increase that. So it'd be an opportunity for the executive director and her team to say, hey, look, we're forecasting more work in this area, and we might need a little bit more in this area to see, you know, so I'd be interested in that.
So basically what to think about and bring back to us as an action item is then that basically the first meeting of the calendar year should have an item relating to the fee, because, you know, meet all the timing requirements, we need to start here. Is that,
Yeah,
that
that makes
really
sense.
something that you would like staff to look at how that could be put in place? Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Good.
But to the point of either creating a reserve, or looking towards other projects that we might want to do going forward, perhaps there should be a discussion of, do we want to actually create a reserve? And if so, what would it look like? Would you want the cities to put up X dollars in reserve that, you know, I think it's a discussion. I don't know the answer. But
Well, you think about like a one-time
assessment, if you will. Everybody puts up $5,000, you have a $25,000 reserve. It offers a little bit of flexibility in what happens going forward. If you leave and we haven't spent it, you get it back. I mean, we can do that. It's just a thought. Because if you're not going to build up much of a reserve, as inflation grows based on an increase in dues, the anticipated reserve would be small, minuscule in the beginning. So if there is real thought to having a reserve fund of some, perhaps we should talk about other mechanisms of creating a reserve fund. Just a thought. I like to make work when I'm leaving.
Yeah, I know, I was gonna say that, you really threw him a lot of, well, you know, what did you do all the years you were on? Keeping it to yourself. So for the next meeting, that should also be a discussion point, I guess, and then you can check with other COGs how they do this, right, with reserves and so on also, so we have some idea. But I think that would be a valid discussion point next time also for action.
So we'll work also with our treasurer, which is right now the city of Culver. Because we do have some reserve funds that have been accruing. But we will also, before that time, because in light of your own budgeting process, which I think probably can't wait for the April meeting, what we will do is turn our board into a memo that will go to your city manager. How about that?
Well, it's in the test too.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
So thank you. That's very helpful. Okay, our second item is just a reminder that your statement of economic interest, everybody loves to fill out. It's due Tuesday, April 2nd. And if you can please help us with the smooth filing period, we will be sending you helpful and pleasant reminders
Yes.
over the next several weeks. And you can do it electronically, which is a lot easier. We will send it out to you. Yeah, that's the easiest way to do it. And we will let you know.
For those of you who also have to fill it out for the county, it's a whole different system and they don't talk to each other. So it's an opportunity to print it and hand it to your city clerk. And let them worry about it.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay. That is it for the executive.
Okay. Any comments to that from anyone? Okay, that moves us over to item 5, transportation update. And we start with the sub-regional transportation programs update.
I'm going to send it over to Riley O'Brien, who's going to do the presentation and update you on the working group.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for bearing with the technical difficulties. Pleased to report, first of all, folks online can hear us. I was testing it out. So.
Okay, good.
What I'd like to do today is just report back from our last COG meeting in December and our last transportation working group meeting, which we actually hosted in person with a virtual component at the Culver City Transportation Department. So a huge thank you to Culver City for hosting us and for letting us use that space and have a great discussion on some of our sub-regional priorities. So as we had discussed last time, we want to make sure that we're strategically using our MSP and SE funds to basically accomplish our sub-regional goals and also prepare for the 2028 Olympics. So we were lucky to have various peers help facilitate a roundtable discussion with the member jurisdictions, in which we focused on the transportation priorities of the member jurisdictions and talked about what it would really take to prepare for the 2028 Olympic Games, while also accomplishing some near-term goals for transit prioritization, continuing to build out the transportation network and the public transit network that we had proposed and planned for in our 2020 Westside COG mobility study. And we were able to identify some great cross-jurisdictional projects eligible for consideration under both funding sources of that. So last time we talked about some potential north-south corridors, including La Brea Avenue, La Cienega Boulevard, Lincoln Boulevard, and Jefferson Boulevard that could connect between some of the rail lines, the existing E line or Expo line and the D line and Purple line that will be hopefully complete to Westwood by 2028. And as a result of our discussion in January in Culver City, we actually landed on a list of 4 priority corridors with 1 asterisk. So the 4 priority corridors that we landed on, we agreed that La Brea Avenue it's really right on the edge of our subregion, and it actually doesn't, the portion involving subregional collaboration is essentially complete. It's complete through West Hollywood. We are working with LADOT to hopefully complete that section of the corridor, but we've identified really 4 main priority corridors. 3 of them are the north-south corridors that we discussed earlier: Lincoln Boulevard, Sepulveda Boulevard, and La Cienega Boulevard. But thanks to a suggestion from the city of Santa Monica transportation staff, we also added Santa Monica Boulevard as a corridor connected. And this is in part because we don't have a clear way at this point to get from the Westwood area to the Santa Monica Pier area, the Santa Monica Beach area, which will be an Olympic venue. The other important point is La Cienega Boulevard, the corridor that we've been discussing and that we are proposing to collaborate on actually includes a large portion of Jefferson Boulevard as well. So that combined corridor, La Cienega Boulevard and Jefferson Boulevard, will be essentially considered one north-south corridor, but it's technically along those two boulevards. And then we included Olympic Boulevard just because we have not included that as a priority corridor in any of our sub-regional plans, but it's something that Metro, it's a corridor that Metro has looked at, has actually applied for grant funds already in partnership with the city of LA. And it does have, of course, the Olympic name, it does have some values in east-west connection, but so far we've really prioritized that. We haven't prioritized that as a transit priority corridor in our previous plan. So we have that included here as an asterisk. I'm going to show a map that you've received in the packet. And I think that we made some changes to this map in the last couple of days because the original map in your agenda package did not include Jefferson Boulevard as part of that La Cienega corridor. We have revised that map to include that corridor. You can see here these corridors in gold, or sort of brownish gold. They are the 5 corridors that I had mentioned, or if we combine La Cienega and Jefferson, which we intend to do. And then Santa Monica Boulevard as well. And then we have Olympic Boulevard showing up more in yellow. You may have seen a map that our team had made during the last meeting. And this is not in your packet, but it's just another way of illustrating the corridors and specifically points out the endpoints of each corridor. So corridor 1, Lincoln Boulevard, would extend from Santa Monica to LAX. Corridor 2, Sepulveda Boulevard, would extend from the San Fernando Valley, from the Sepulveda Pass and Mulholland Drive area to LAX. And corridor 3, that is along Santa Monica Boulevard, and the exact corridor will not be determined yet. But I know there was interest from the city of Santa Monica and particularly in connection to the west area, so it may not extend all the way into the Beverly Hills, West Hollywood area. But we did want to note that our mobility study from 2020 included that entire corridor. And then Jefferson and La Cienega Boulevard are 5 and 4 respectively. So those are shown here on the map, and just wanted to make it very clear that when we're discussing a La Cienega Boulevard project, we would be including Jefferson Boulevard in that as well, through the city of Culver City south to Sepulveda Boulevard and the Culver City Transit Center. And so our next steps, we've asked each of the member jurisdiction staff to come back to us during our next working group meeting with a estimate essentially of what it would take to complete their portion of these corridors in time for the 2028 Olympics. What are the cost implications? What are some realistic timelines? What are some critical path items? So that we can potentially program some of that MSP and SEP funding accordingly to accomplish the goal of really, I think, creating at least 1 or 2 of these corridors. And that's also part of this discussion. Part of the reason we want to get that assessment is understanding we may not be able to get, dedicated bus lane and really substantial improvements on all 5 of these boulevards or all 4 of these corridors. And we may also have Olympic Boulevard as another option that Metro and LADOT are interested in themselves in particular. But we do want to, again, get a sense of what it would take to at least build, to lead each of these corridors, to put transit priority improvements and transit lane infrastructure on each of these corridors. And then from there, we'd be able to prioritize maybe 1 or 2, or potentially up to all of them if we can, for MSP and SEP funding by 2028. And so with that, I'll turn it back over to Celia to add anything that you'd like to add or to open up for discussion.
Yeah, the only other thing I'd add is this is also a way for us to focus for competitive funding, right? And so if the west side is aligned on its top 4 or 5 corridors, maybe we put an application for all of them and see what we can do, because we're such an important Olympic venue, because of UCLA. And that's something that we should be using as a way to accelerate the improvements in this region.
Thoughts, comments, anyone?
Just, I'm just curious. I know that the purple line is delayed probably 2 years. We're looking now in the spring of 26
Mm.
for the opening at what would be our second station near Rodeo. Presuming that everything up is likewise backed up. Somewhere in this conversation, is there a contingency conversation? You know, what if we don't have the subway by 20?
Yeah.
Because if we're delayed at Rodeo till 26, depending on how they're moving the other way, it's gonna be tight.
Yeah. That'd be very good.
You good?
Mhm.
Great, thank you.
There was a,
Sorry, I didn't see.
Hi,
Yeah.
Sharon Swift from Ellen Metro. So I just wanted to say we've worked with Riley and Winnie, and we're going to have one of our staff from Office of Strategic Innovation come to your next transportation working group. And if there's a desire to have somebody come provide an update on the purple line, we'd be glad to do that at the next TWG to address our purple questions.
That would be terrific.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
and Chair Erickson,
Yes,
something as a somewhat of a part-time transit user. I think when we talk about improving the lines, it shouldn't only be about the buses and the mobility. It should also be about the users that are waiting for the bus
Yes.
when it's 90-degree weather and there is no bus shelters, which is really, really, really precarious. Santa Monica Boulevard lacks, particularly in LA, this is not to trash LA, but lacks total kind of furniture, and people, including me, council member buyers, are waiting under the rain, 90-degree weather, and there is no way to hide because there are not even trees sometimes on Santa Monica Boulevard.
okay, that's a message to the working group.
Well, and actually, it's a great point, because we talked about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we first talked about how we would spend this money, about those sorts of amenities being part of the priority.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I think, if I may just respond, I think to both of those points, but first to Anand's point, my understanding is that any sort of improvement, whatever scale of bus lanes, bus infrastructure, first of all, we have the flexibility within both of these funding sources to fund bus shelters and other bus infrastructure at bus stops to make the experience more comfortable. And when we talk about potential for bus rapid transit, the potential for, much, I think, stronger and more robust transit corridors, bus shelters and even things that resemble full transit stations are a big part of that and would really be a huge priority. So we hear you in that, in wanting to really emphasize that, and we would certainly make sure that's a big part of that funding source.
Okay, thank you, great. Anything further? Okay, that moves us over to item 6, housing update. Is that Winnie?
It's winning.
In the interest of time, I'm gonna keep this fairly short. As we're all aware, the governor's budget poses some funding cuts to some very crucial housing and homelessness funding. It's summarized in attachment A on page 21 of the staff report. Most notably, the proposed budget is also slated to cut $300 million from the State REAP 2.0 program. And as you recall from our last meeting, we developed this local for the REAP 2.0 Regional Partnership Program to establish a potential regional housing trust. And SCAG recently sent a letter to all COGs asking us to stop incurring expenses due to the potential REAP 2.0 cuts. But we have yet started the MOU and the procurement process for that work, so this doesn't apply to us. However, this circumstance does delay our procurement process until the budget is finalized. So we anticipate providing more updates on the potential reduction on our 2.0 funds and how we may need to reconsider how we prioritize the scope of work under our program. Any questions related to the budget and REAP 2.0? Hearing none. The next item, we just want to share with you a very exciting opportunity to travel to Vienna to learn about social housing from the global policy leadership. They have two pool parks coming up, one in spring, starting on April 14th, and one in summer, July 14th. This experience is curated for elected officials, housing policy leaders, and community leaders and nonprofits. We've heard a lot of great things from it last year, including some council members from the city of LA. So please look into that. And I believe some council members from Santa Monica is attending.
Yeah, our former mayor, we did this, we've, I'm sorry, Councilmember, Trosas will be attending.
So are the grants available to pay for the costs?
There are grants available.
So that is 100% of the cost, the travel cost?
I am not sure. There are grants to reduce the costs. And they can help us to see if we are over to put together a group.
Okay. Okay, contact with me or if you want to figure out more. The information is in the agenda here. Thank you. Then we are going to talk a little more deeper about the homeless update. So we're gonna go back to me and talk about updates on LASA.
We have a presentation, a joint presentation from LASA as well as County Homeless Initiative on the centralized master leasing pilot, which would allow more permanent housing units to become available to support our city's outreach and housing navigation services that are currently being funded by our local solutions fund. So I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer Lee and Thomas Wong. Feel free to unmute, and Riley will advance the slide for us. And in the interest of time, we can keep the presentation for 10 minutes. That'd be great. Thank you.
7 minutes would be great.
7 minutes.
Would be ideal.
I will speak as quickly as I can. Thank you so much for having us join me today. As Winnie introduced, I am Jennifer Lee.
We can't hear you, Jennifer.
Oh,
Yeah, if you could hold on for just one moment, please.
We need to test the audio. Oh, can you hear us? Yeah, we may need to test the audio coming from.
can you hear me now?
To just listen closely to this laptop. Perhaps through Winnie's laptop, that may work better.
Or she can call you in and put the cell phone on speaker.
Okay. I'm able to unmute, but we'll have to keep quiet because no one here bounce back. Okay, Jennifer, I'm gonna unmute, so we can hear you all.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Kind of.
There is some echo. Okay, is this better for everybody? All right, hopefully you can hear me because I think you're now muted. Again, thank you for having Thomas and I join you today. I am Jennifer Lee with the CEO Homeless Initiative Office. I support permanent housing programs within our department. And I am here today to talk to you very quickly about master leasing and how we can support your different cities.
Hi, Jennifer, if you could try speaking again,
Hello, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. You can hear me now. Just wanted to say thank you for having us join you today. And because we probably have 5 minutes now, we can jump to our starting slide. I think you know about homeless initiatives, so I think we're going to start on slide number 3 or 4, just to make sure we have enough time. Okay, here we go. So master leasing is a new pilot going on in Los Angeles right now. We are partnering with LASA to administer a centralized master lease program. Under this program, LASA leases entire buildings, and then they are the subleasees of units to people experiencing homelessness. These units are permanent housing resources for individuals and families. And at every master leasing building, services will be on site. Next slide. I think we all know some of the challenges in the market, especially in the West Side cities with a tight rental market and competition for units. Tenant screening criteria is often a challenge, and timeline to approve units for voucher holders with our housing authorities. One of the best benefits of master leasing is that it will bring more units into the system, and it will get people into housing even faster because there are no landlord biases, no documentation required for move-ins, and we can eventually optimize all of our federal, state, and local vouchers and permanent housing resources. And with that, I will turn it over to Thomas for some of the quick operations of how this works.
Greetings all. Thank you, Jennifer. My name is Thomas Wong. I'm the Associate Director of Unit Acquisitions at LASA. First and foremost, want to thank the CEO, HI, the county, and their partnership with the managed care plans, LA Care and HealthNet. That specific partnership has led to a particular funding source that really has provided the opportunity for this master leasing strategy. At the top left, you'll notice that the County of Los Angeles is indicated as the funder, and the box right next to it indicates that they are fully financially backing these master lease agreements. Oops, looks like we got ahead of ourselves. And that's the key piece there. Having that financial backing through that managed care plan partnership, the HIP funding source, really supports the efforts of this strategy. LASA will then go into a master lease agreement with the support of the local housing authority to inspect the property and rent comp or comp out the rents for the particular building. And we will go ahead and engage in negotiations with the property owner and execute a master lease agreement. LASA also subcontracts with a fiscal agent. That fiscal agent handles all aspects of the finances for the project, collecting rent, paying invoices, paying for property damages, you name it. They are there to handle all of the related finances. LASA also subcontracts with a property manager, and this is an entity that is deployed to each master lease site to maintain the physical plant of the building, make sure that the leases are upheld with each of the tenants, dealing with the day-to-day operations of the site. And of course, as you know, and what most folks know about LASA is that we contract out support with supportive services. And we have local nonprofits who are providing those housing case management services on site. They are deployed on site along with the gamut of services of which I just described. Next slide, please. Really quickly, and I won't go into all the details here, but this is a flyer that LASA, and we can share, to this group here, for landlords to generally understand what is our master leasing product of which we're providing to them. We have a button for them to just essentially quickly click and refer their properties to us. And really quickly, LASA responds back and gets the whole process initiated. Next slide, please. What's really key here is that is how we essentially operationalize these sites once we acquire them. And it is to say that, we do have a plan in terms of addressing any type of the encampment resolution efforts that are currently underway throughout our city, throughout the county. And we also have a plan to really kind of support our existing shelter and existing housing programs, of which some of you may be directly funding and supporting, to take advantage of these master lease units as opportunities. So Group A is the encampment resolution efforts. We divide that to 1/2 of the number of units for a particular building. Group B is all other regional housing programs of the area, and that's designated to the second half of the particular building. We do have special considerations where a particular city or a particular agency can really take advantage and be prioritized occupancy of an entire building. And LASA is more than willing to speak with each of you individually if that is the case. And we can have those nuanced conversations about how that can occur. But it is to say, again, to Jennifer's point, as she mentioned, that this is a flexible resource. There isn't screening criteria, and folks are able to move into the units quite expeditiously. And I believe that's the end of my slides.
Yeah, and just a quick, just for everyone, I know you have the deck in front of you, but this is how we fund one master lease building. It's not just the new HIP dollars we have. Those cover a lot of the what we call backfill and day-to-day operations of a apartment building. So those cover those costs that maybe other funding sources don't allow for. We definitely still need to rely on Measure H for rent, for time-limited subsidy, security deposit, for all of our supportive services that are a part of the sites and operating these master lease building, as well as federal vouchers for long-term rental assistance. These are all very key parts of this program. Next slide. And how you can partner with us. Well, one of the big things, as Thomas mentioned, is, cities being able to use master lease buildings for encampment resolution and interim housing efforts. I do want to give a special thank you to the city of Santa Monica and their partnership on Pathway Home. This master leasing opportunity really does support that continued program and the throughput of people going to interim housing and eventually into master leasing, or into permanent housing. So we do ask that each city or council of government work to identify one building to commit to master leasing as part of this effort. So for example, the city of Santa Monica identifies a building. We would be working together with LASA to ensure that 50% of that building would be going to Pathway Home, and then 50% would be going to other interim housing sites within the city of Santa Monica. We ask that you continue to invite us to present at other business department leaders, property management companies, support and continue with outreach. I shared the flyer with Winnie, so hopefully y'all have it already. And we do have a link here to also encourage you to watch. The picture that you see on the slide is the Firestone Master Lease building, where 20 people were able to move in from one of the Pathway Home initiatives that was conducted. So this really is a great opportunity for us to continue to work together and support all of our cities. And I think that's it. I think we have questions now.
I know our city has identified at least one building so far, but in terms of qualifying for the fund, what have you found cities outside of our city boundaries, would that qualify as well? Or is it that we have to find properties within the city?
No, it doesn't have to be within your specific city. I know that I'll speak on behalf of Thomas. We are definitely looking for buildings within, the SPA 5 area where a lot of these cities are located. So Service Planning Area 5 or Service Planning Area 4, where I think West Hollywood is. So, those would be great opportunities for us to continue to work with you on. So that, it's really important to identify opportunities for people to stay near where they experience homelessness, if that's, their goal. So I will let also Thomas answer like what their target is at this point.
And yeah, I do apologize. I did miss some of that, the pieces of your question. But I believe, where are we looking for master lease units? We are looking everywhere. One thing to also highlight is that LAWSA will be master leasing scattered units. So we're not just focusing our efforts on entire buildings, but if we are looking for a unit here or a block of units there, that's something that we know is more realistic in terms of actual available vacancies throughout the entire county. And so we're really trying to be flexible and support with acquisitions in all areas.
Okay, so
Thank you. I have many questions. Just as a follow-up, so if we, let's start with the building. Are you looking at, so if it's a new empty building or an older building? In the city of West Hollywood, about 80% of our population are renters. And we have a very robust rent stabilization ordinance. So I have some more questions as well regarding that. But when you're saying to have our staff identify a building, are you referring to just an empty building that just might be sitting there? Or new buildings, I guess?
Where
Yeah.
an owner may be willing.
When the owner-
Just to quickly answer to that question, yeah, we are looking for empty buildings and partially empty buildings. The key factor is that we're going to inspect the buildings for habitability and HUD housing quality standards, and also looking at it from a vantage point of asset management. And what that particularly means is that we want to make sure that the particular property in question, of which we would potentially master lease, has the right infrastructures, was well maintained. If it's in the 1920s or constructed and such, there are inherent issues with the paint, with the infrastructures of whether it's the plumbing, whether it's the way that it was constructed. So those aspects we are going to be mindful of, and it's really hard to essentially have a blanket statement of what that means, because buildings vary and there's a lot of different types of buildings out there. The key thing is that LAWSA assigns and works with the property owner throughout the entire process. And so as soon as they submit that referral form, we're there throughout the process to work on those nuances.
Thank you. Next question. What is the range of master lease rent that LAFA is going to be negotiating or covering?
Yeah, and a great question. And that's why we also work with the local housing authority. In doing so, we rely on HUD standards and the authoritative body to provide those rents to ensure that whatever our master lease is aligns with that business practice, so that we can ensure the utilization of federal vouchers in our master lease sites. Typically, how it operates is that the local housing authority will provide us with a rental comp. And from that rental comp, LAWSA will deduct the operating expenses. So the expenses to just maintain, operate the building on a day-to-day basis, the property management costs, the repairs and maintenance costs, things of that nature to just, again, maintain the property. We will deduct from that price, and then that is the master lease price to the actual property owner.
Sefit, unfortunately, we're running short on time, so talk to Cecilia, and so if we can keep.
I have one more quick question.
Okay, because we could have everyone send questions to Cecilia, who can then ask them.
And we're also happy to set up separate briefings with folks.
One more really quick question. When you said that the unhoused folks, is it so if we do this in West Hollywood, we're going to focus on the unhoused population in West Hollywood?
It could be that case. So for instance, the way that LAWSA has been working with various cities and COGs and communities is to say that if a particular city found the particular building and it was a successful master lease that resulted as of that connection, then that city would have priority in terms of occupying that particular asset. And so I think, as Jennifer kind of mentioned, there's a 50-50 split where they would want to ensure the county pathway home participants of the general area to ensure that opportunity is made available for them. but yes, that's how we would essentially work with your individual city. And that is, and there are nuances, of course, but we can dive into that if we ever cross that bridge.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
If
thank
you'd
you.
like it-
I'm gonna go Culver City and then Beverly Hills, but then still, if anyone wants a separate briefing or we can sort of do questions to Cecilia that then can distribute them and so on, we can get the phone, but
Right, yeah, really, right. Are there, any funds for bringing facilities up to standard in case it's not? And in relation to that, I know that in Culver City, we have a couple of potential developments happening, which are dormitory style, privately funded, housing. That makes the possibility of kind of retrofitting, unused commercial properties more viable. Is that in the funding at all?
Jennifer or
Jennifer,
Thomas?
I think had to, oh wait, that was, I think they both had to leave the
Okay.
meeting at 1:30.
Okay.
But what I would do is I will provide your question and also their contact information.
Council members, we can specifically set up a separate briefing for you if you like, or with your
Yeah,
team.
with their cities.
Let us know if you like.
The only question immediately would be, what is the length of your funding source? Are there really long-term funding sources here? Or is this gonna depend year over year on somebody who appropriate?
Right.
What does that look like? And what happens in the event that you don't make next year? So I would like to see on stuff.
Got it.
In some detail.
Great. I mean, appreciate your patience in this. It's hard, all the technical difficulties shortened our ability to this discussion, but this is a great opportunity for cities to get priority and to take out the extreme transactional difficulty of doing the master leasing. We're happy to set up separate briefings because if this is something that the West Side cities would like to take advantage of, we would certainly love to facilitate it. I also know that they were talking about housing vouchers, and Measure H funding opportunities. So that might answer the question about the permanency of the funding, but we will get back to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have anything more on
Local solutions,
local solution fund? Yeah.
very,
Yes, I'm gonna
Very
be
brief.
very brief because there's no action. So the county came to us and announced a funding allocation to the COGS for the upcoming fiscal year for the Local Solutions Fund. And the allocation is based on an average point in time count in the previous 2 years. So based on the PIC count, the funding allocation for the COG actually increased by 9% from 1.4 million to 1.6 million. So we convened in late January a meeting with the homelessness working group to discuss potential programming and funding distribution. All 4 cities expressed a preference for equal fund distribution. We've also recommended as COG staff to distribute a portion of the funds towards advancing the West Side Regional Behavioral Health Facility feasibility study. We've earmarked $124,000 for that study, but that amount is unrealistic and insufficient to conduct a comprehensive study that is needed for implementation. So our staff is currently collaborating with the city of Santa Monica to build on their existing study on their behavioral health facility, and we intend to expand that work to the subregion. Santa Monica has already conducted a thorough landscape of the behavioral health crisis services and identified and so we will build on that to identify potential gaps in specific site requirements. So this actually builds a foundation for us to come in to explore potential sites, conduct site analyses, engage in key partnerships, and identify funding strategies for development and implementation. So I'd like to present to the board 2 potential funding options for consideration. Riley, can you flip to the next slide? Which shows option A and option B. Option A is to distribute the same funding amount of 1.4 to all cities and dedicate the 9% increase in local solution funds towards the study. Or option B, to distribute all the funds across the city with no funding towards the study and the regional project. We also share these options with all 4 of your city managers, and they've all endorsed option A. Beverly Hills had a caveat that the city includes splitting the new hospital beds or temporary housing equally among the cities. Again, this is informational only. We would like to use this time to solicit feedback from the board, and what we will do is we'll take that feedback back to the working group and city managers to draft a statement of work. We'll come back in April for an adoption and work with the county to draft and execute a contract so that funds will be made available as early as July 1st, pending contract execution. Any questions?
In any direction.
In any direction? Yes.
Yes, well, we've had several meetings and discussions on some of the most crucial issue that we are facing in regionally, which is behavioral health issues.
Yeah.
So I think option A makes complete sense, and it is the right way to go based on the many meetings and discussions that we've had as a COG.
So,
Okay.
I agree that we ought to spend the money that all that. So I do think that we've had also previous conversations about distribution of, so I would underscore what our city has. So I'd like to, in exploring it, to, until such time as, all of it, we don't, but I think at least out of the gate, the study should focus on looking at the city people and figuring out what that would be. Obviously, a factor, and candidly, if we're going to study it, if we needed to share amongst ourselves, maybe they can do some local and all that. If everybody gets allocated certain beds, and today, tomorrow, next week, we don't need all of them. We'll probably need some. I think they're always start out at the same number. In a study to look at operationalizing this, I would hope that whoever studies it, we get some flexibility to have internal that's sort of Latin discussion.
That's great.
What about that?
Good points. Any?
Yeah, real quick, obviously our city of Santa Monica, we have in the west side, probably we have probably the largest number of individuals suffering from homelessness and mental health issues. So it's had a pretty severe impact on especially our downtown area. So we're struggling. But we support measure, well, it's option A. We think that that will, build more unity as a region, but also it ensures that we begin, to think about our regional commitment and how we can all partner to create something that we all can benefit from. So I think if every jurisdiction, every city does it a little bit, then it doesn't all fall on one city to do it all. So I think this is a good model.
Okay, thank you. Any further comment? Celia?
Nope, that's very clear direction. Thank you.
Okay. That moves us over to legislation. Jeff is not here today. He had to be somewhere else. So he included his report in our package. So you have it there. So if you have any questions, you need to ask Jeff about it. Then a quick announcement that, the yearly mayor's panel that the West Side Urban Forum put together is on February 15 in Culver City at the Helms Bakery early in the morning. So yes, that's also included in the package. For anyone who wants to be there, you should register ASAP. It's filling up. And then we have a future meeting agenda that's on Thursday, April 11 in Culver City. You are all welcome. We promise you it's going to be a great day with sun and no rain. And then public comments. I think we still have your Alfred here. Oh, yeah. And if it's okay with you, I will actually allow him to steal some time from our meeting. He's UCLA Government and Community Relations, and we might even have some questions for him. So, few minutes.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to be back at the West Side City's COG. I spent many years at your meetings when I was at South Coast AQMD. My colleague Marco Perez is here as well. We know you've gone a few minutes over, so we just wanted to say hello and really appreciate we've heard UCLA mentioned a few times here, and also in your transportation priorities. So we're here as a partner to work with each of you at the COG and each of your cities and other community stakeholders that are here. So just wanted to introduce ourselves, and we'll stick around at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any public comments out there in the cyber?
Do we want to acknowledge?
No, I did not receive any by email.
Okay. That actually brings us to adjournment. So,
We also have two council members from Beverly
oh
Hills.
yeah, we have two
John Vera.
Beverly Hills council members here. So thank you for participating today. Good to see you guys.
Yeah.
Mayor doing the best job.
I know, we know. So, and we're gonna adjourn, and I'm gonna let Julian do the honor to motion.
So I'd love to adjourn. Take a picture.
Yeah,
Great.
meeting adjourned.
And then not part of the meeting, but Shine is your birthday. We have a
Happy
cake.
birthday.
Yeah.
It's on the 19th, but thank you.
Yeah, that's cake.
Thank you, Cindy. Red velvet